So I didn't even realize it, but last night it was raining. It's pretty spectacular out here in the desert when it rains, because what happens is all the bushes get cleaned off. Your vehicles get cleaned off. Your trailer gets cleaned off. And there's no dust in the air, which is kind of a nice bonus. It might be a little hard to tell, but see how it's dry under there? A couple inches below the surface and it's dry. Well, that guy's going way fast. I guess because we got a little rain, there's no dust anymore. That guy's booking. Well, you can see these creosote bushes are really thirsty for some water. These leaves should be basically dark green or bright green. Look up the creosote bush on Wikipedia, and there's a theory that there's a creosote bush that is the oldest living organism on the planet. That'll blow your mind. Other things you got to think about is like whatever you leave outside. And for the most part, my stuff is, fairly waterproof. The main thing I worry about is the generator. I don't like to leave it out in the rain. So I just pull it out from behind the trailer is usually where I keep it. Although I do tend to put it under here pretty much every day just because of the sun. Because the sun will cook this thing, So if I'm not using it, I don't want it sitting out in the sun. And then here on my new table, this table's all plastic, so there's no problem with this thing getting wet. It's made to sit outside. And check out this big crystal I found the other day. I haven't cleaned it, but it did get a little bit cleaner here in the rain. Is that cool or what? It's one of the biggest chunks that I found out here in Quartzsite. We're gonna take a hike in a few videos and we're gonna go look for more stuff like this. I'll show you my techniques. See how much light gets in there? It's fairly clear, really. Quartzsite. What are we gonna do today? Well, a little bit of just basic maintenance. I got a couple things. One of the things is this door panel. You can see I got the new door panel put in here, and now I have to replace this plastic piece here. I got that as well, so I got to drill some new holes to mount that in there. So we'll do that today, and a couple other little things here and there. I'm going to show you how I protect my rig from mice, rodents, and rats, and pack rats, and all that stuff, chipmunks and squirrels, how I keep them out of my truck and also out of my trailer. Every few days basically is when I do this, so you'll see me do that. We're also going to go on top of the trailer because we have a very big project coming up that has to do with the top up there, so we got to go do a little inspection to see what's going on up there. And I'm going to show you a couple new pieces of equipment I got, just some basic gear that I have that you probably need, or you probably already have if you are living this lifestyle like we are out here. Quartzsite is a great place to do it. You can see the dogs are just chilling out here. We got Dodger underneath our first work area. We're going to be working on these propane tanks because I have a leak. And the way I noticed this is, you see usually the shroud is on here. And what that does, one thing it does is it kind of keeps any propane that comes out, it makes it come down and then out. So you will smell it, like when you come out of your trailer. I could smell it a little bit, and it's not that much of a leak. I'll show you the leak here, and you can see what it looks like. But I could smell the propane, and it just happened one day, so I'm pretty sure, at least the leak was only that bad for one day. But that's super dangerous. So smell propane, then you got to get to work. And what I've done here is I've repaired a couple of these lines. I'm going to show you how I do the last one. I got the propane is all turned off here. These are all disconnected. And the only thing that's using propane right now is the fridge. And other than the heater, that's pretty much all I use the propane for when the weather is this nice. And we're getting into 80 degrees now here in Quartzsite, so it's pretty cool. You know, it's not always going to be like that for the next couple months. It's going to be in the 70s, but we don't really need the heater. So I have plenty of propane, but I do need to fix this. So let's get to work. And Dodger's been doing actually pretty good. You know, we haven't been hiking together. Dodger, it's really rocky here. So we do walk around in the washes a little bit. I hike, when I do go hike, I take this guy. But you can see, I don't know if you can tell, you'll be able to tell better when he's standing up, but I've been brushing him really good with that brush. Only on one side of his body though. Just kind of, it takes a long time to brush him. It may be hard to tell, but he's very soft and fluffy. I got so much of his undercoat off. So we want to get to work here on the leak. The first thing you want to do is when you smell a leak, you know, you turn everything off. And so I've done that. But to find the leak, we're going to have to turn it back on. So this hose has to be hooked up here, obviously. And let me know what you guys think of this camera work, because it's so hard to record while you're working. And so now that means gas is flowing through here. And I can't hear the leak. Actually, I think I can kind of smell it. Let's see. What I have here is soapy water, and you just take some soap. You want a lot of soap in there so you can really get the bubbles going. Yeah, you can see that right there. Can you see that bubbling? That's the leak. So how do you fix that? Well, this is gas going through those brass threads, and we need to put something in the threads to keep it from leaking. It's usually pretty obvious, and you'll notice the same thing. Like if you have a leak in your tires, you use the same technique, spray soapy water on it, and you'll see the bubbles coming up. And we're going to use this for another thing we're going to do here pretty soon. In this video, we're going to do a little bit more maintenance. So now we know the leak is coming from right here. So that's what we have to seal off. So make sure the propane is off, and then we can unscrew this and use our wrenches to take this out here. Let's do that. It's a little tricky doing camera work while I'm actually trying to do a repair. So I hope you guys can see everything I'm doing here. It's really pretty simple. You just need a couple wrenches and this hose will come right out. Now this hose is brand new. And that's the first thing I did months ago when I noticed some leaking, was I bought new hoses. And these were, I think they're about $6 a piece, something like that on Amazon. Now here is the biggest tip you're gonna get from this video when it comes to propane. A lot of people will use the regular Teflon tape, which looks just like this, but it's white. And the spool will be either white or blue, generally. And that's what I was originally gonna use. And you just wrap that around the threads here, screw it in, and then you get a good seal. But what I learned was with propane, I'm not sure if it says it on here, in assemblies handling gasoline, petroleum, oils, propane, butane. So you need to use this yellow tape. And this tape I think is about $7 a roll, which, you know, may seem kind of expensive, but the reason you want to use this is because it will deteriorate if you use the white stuff. And you guys can all critique me at, you know, how I'm doing everything wrong or whatever. That's fine. Because I do things wrong, you know, I just do the best I can do. But my dad's tip is wrap this on in the reverse direction, so then when you screw it in, it doesn't kind of unwrap itself. And, you know, that's a really good tip. Dads have good tips. And so now we can just screw this back in, and we'll tighten it down with a wrench. Actually, yeah, I did it the wrong way. Okay, here's try number 2. Then when I turn it like this, and I would imagine if if it was an emergency, you could just use the white Teflon and then go pick up the yellow later. You can also use, there's some sort of dope you can get, which is some sort of putty. But I just didn't want to have to carry around like a big jug of putty or an extra tube of something, that could eventually harden in all the weird weather we get out here. So that's why I'm sticking with this tape. Okay, and then we just tighten it back up. Not too tight, but you want it fairly tight. You can really feel it sealing with that tape in there. So now what we do is put it all back together, and then we're gonna turn on the propane and we're gonna double check for any leaks. So we crank this on, and once this is cranked, propane is gonna be going through that line into the trailer. I don't smell anything, I don't hear anything. And we spray soapy water on it again, looking for bubbles. The sun is so bright today. It's kind of why I wanted to do this, because, well, I wanted to do it right now because in 20 minutes, it's gonna be full sun here. Okay, this project is done. I can go turn on the fridge and I can put the shroud back on here, and propane tanks are good. Let's get on to the next project. So it's just kind of project day, and it's good to have you guys along, just to kind of show you what I'm doing, how I fix things around here, and get any of your feedback, because I'm sure you guys will have something to say about how I fix things and my techniques. In fact, let's talk about this technique I got going here. I think some of you are gonna have a good laugh here. Some of you will be like, you're doing the right thing. This is exactly what you need to do. And the reason I know that is because I got this idea from all of you guys. I did a post on the YouTube channel here asking what your best prevention method was for rats and mice when you're living out in nature like this, in a trailer. And by far, I mean, you guys suggested, just traps and things like that, leaving your hood open. By far, this was the #1 method, even over like, mothballs and things like that. And what this is peppermint oil. I just got this from Walmart. It's kind of expensive, but I put about 20 drops in here. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And this stuff smells good. I mean, it smells like peppermint. It smells like the peppermint you put in like chocolate candies. So it smells like kind of delicious. Then I fill this up with water. Now you guys feel free to tell me what I'm doing wrong here. This is the #1 idea that you all suggested. So I'm fairly convinced that this is my best option. It's that crowdsourcing idea. If you ask 100 people what's the best solution, you should probably just go with what the majority says. Try that first, start there. And luckily for me, this is a pretty simple solution. It doesn't stink bad. I feel like I need to apply this every couple days, because you'll see when I apply it, you'll see where it goes. And if you go by there a couple days later and try to smell for the peppermint smell, you can kind of barely smell it. And I'm sure the mice and rats and stuff like that, they can smell stuff even better. They have very sensitive sense of smell. So I'm sure that's fine after a couple days, but after probably 4 days, I feel like it's kind of gone. So I like to do this every 2 or 3 days, spraying the tires. So feel free to tell me what I'm doing wrong here, where I'm spraying the vehicles in the wrong place, or if I need to do more or less, or what's your technique. This is my technique, and I'll tell you, I haven't had any issues. But if you go back and look at my videos, you'll see we rarely have issues with mice and rats. I did have a couple times that were pretty disastrous. One was, man, it was horrible. It was only 2 mice, but I went through several types of traps, several techniques, and several days, many days of these guys running around in the truck. So check those videos. I'll link to those videos in the description down below. Let me show you what I do to keep the mice at bay. And it's a huge problem. You do not want mice in your rig. I don't think I really need to go in the reasons why, but in your vehicle, in your main vehicle, if you have a truck or a van, you don't want them in your engine is really the main thing. What I do is I start by spraying the base, and I try and do this really quickly. I also get up here a little bit on the tire, but I'm just giving it a couple sprays. That's it for the tire. And then in here in the frame, I've heard mice and stuff back in here before in the past. So for whatever reason, I know they like to kind of get inside the frame. So I also spray in here. There's a couple little holes that get inside the frame. I don't know if you can see that, but I get a little bit of liquid in there so it gets inside the frame. And that's it for this whole wheel well. And we'll do the same thing on this tire on the front of the truck here. And then we get the back tires. This is how I do the back tires. And I try and do this really quick because it's something I have to do so regularly. I don't want it to take a long time. We're not done with the truck once we do these tires. So you can see how I do that. I just kind of spray in several spots around the tire, focusing mostly on the base down here. So if the mice come around, they're going to smell that and take off. Now, of course, as soon as I drive the truck away, that peppermint smell, I mean, it's going to be pretty much gone. So whenever I drive the truck, I try to remember that I need to reapply this stuff ASAP. I'm really curious what you guys are going to say. This is the most important part of the truck, the engine. And I'll show you what I do in here, what I spray in here. Because my strategy here is, you know, I don't want to spray any sensitive areas of the engine, but anything that's plastic, basically, like this whole shroud up here, we're going to spray that down. I even spray on this, the coolant container, because that's all plastic there. Just spray it down like that. This is plastic. I've seen mouse poop up here before in the past. And there's a plastic cover here, this air shroud here. I can spray all that. Just needs a couple little squirts. And when I had the two mice, most recently they were up in the hood and they were kind of crawling around up here. And it seemed like they were spending a lot of time up in these crevices. So I always add a lot of peppermint spray there, just in these two corners here of the hood. And so that's it basically. You can get a little bit more here on this plastic. But I don't think they're gonna wanna come up in here because it just smells like peppermint in here. Sometimes I spray here under the radiator, and then there's this little kind of cubby hole in the front bumper. And that's it for the truck for mice prevention. I haven't seen any signs of mice in here, and doing the spraying, you know, you end up checking the engine every few days. So I would notice if there was something running around up in there. Now with the trailer, I have actually had mice in here before. I caught a mouse in here. I heard it scurrying around, and so I set a trap out, and the next morning I had a mouse. So you can see how I do these tires, and that's really all I'm doing here is just spraying the base of the tire and then a couple spots around the top of it. And I've also been trying to get these chocks sprayed. I spray them because if you've seen some of my videos, I end up with bugs in these holes, and I should just take some time and fill them up. But I think spraying them with the peppermint spray also keeps the bugs out. So there, now the trailer is done. And you can see I got half a bottle left here. So I'll be able to spray one more time. So one bottle lasts me about a week. You know, I do it about twice a week. Let me know what you guys think. I know there's gonna be a lot of comments, a lot of controversy down there about my technique and what your favorite technique is. And I can't wait to hear it. And then of course on this side of the trailer I got to put on my tire covers. This is a new thing for me. Nomadic Pride sent us these from the Nomadic Pride YouTube channel. Check out their channel. It's nice to have these on when you're sitting in one spot. Like we're sitting here, you know, for 2 weeks or more before we even move the trailer now, you know, basically to go dump the tanks. So having these on, I mean, then the tires are not affected by the sun. So I think it's a good thing to have. I'm still kind of figuring out, you know, like when I like to have these on, how do they hold up in the wind. So I'm still kind of testing them out, but I mean, they do their job. They work really well. They haven't fallen off yet. But as far as like hooking them on, you can see it's a little awkward to do. And I just kind of find something back here, some piece of metal or the springs on the trailer, and there's like this little plastic hook and you just hook it onto that. But your strategy for long-term camping is different. You know, a lot of times I'll be camping in one spot for just a few nights or a week or two, and depending on, you know, the sun situation, what angle the sun's coming in at and what angle I park the trailer at, I might not really need to protect the wheels. Obviously, especially if there's a lot of trees around and stuff like that. But when you're out in the open desert like this, you get constant sun and you can see the truck. It just gets constant sun. And you know, it's not great for the paint. But what you're really worried about is your main survival tool is the vehicle and the tires. So I've been thinking about getting some covers for the truck tires as well. But I have a new piece of equipment that is going to replace an old piece of equipment, which is this right here. Let's take a look at it. Can you tell what this is? Put it down in the comments if you know what this is. It's something that you're going to need if you have a big vehicle, something that's tall. This came with the trailer when I got it, and it's actually pretty cool, but it's not the right size. And this thing is nice because it's lightweight. You can see how small it folds up to be, but it's not tall enough. It's kind of not even close for my trailer. Let me give you guys a few shots here of what I'm working with. See, that's as high up as it goes. So I can't get up onto the trailer. I'll show you the technique that I've been doing with this, because sometimes I do have to get up on the trailer and there's only so much you can do. So you can see that doesn't help me. What I learned is I can climb up on this. Let me show you. And you can see that that's not safe. So I've never done that, but I guess I could if I needed to. This ladder is just too short. So this is the technique that I've been doing when I do need to get up there. And I'm not going to get all the way up there because it's kind of dangerous. But what I do is I stand up on this tire. The tire is plenty sturdy enough. And I can at least see up here really easily so I can inspect anything. It actually looks really good. We'll get up here in a second. But then what I would do is I would basically just pull myself up over, and you know, I'm strong enough I can do that, but it's risky when you're out here by yourself. And then you got to get down and step on this tire as you get down. Because that, you know, that's like, it's like 10 feet up there. And some of you guys are probably laughing right now because you don't have to deal with this auxiliary ladder system at all because you have built-in ladders on your rigs. And so in that sense, you're really lucky. Some trailers, they don't come with ladders mounted, and mine is one of those. But when you have solar panels up there or you're working on your air conditioning up there, then you're going to need to get up there from time to time. So this is the crazy technique I've been doing, and this is going to be fun to see what you guys say in the comments, because this is about as stupid as I get, but I haven't had any problems. I take that short ladder and I stick it on top of my propane tanks, which maybe that explains why I have a leak in my propane tanks, because you're putting pressure on the tanks, and it's possible that this was in the wrong spot, not on the strong part of the tank, but like on the hose or something like that. So now that I'm figuring this out, that could be another problem, you know, just besides that thing slipping off and then you come crashing down and the dogs are like walking around and there's nobody out here to help you. Of course, where we are here in Quartzsite, there's tons of people. You can see a lot of people out here. So it's very safe in that sense. But I don't want to be doing this anymore. So on my wish list, I put a different kind of ladder. So now I don't need this ladder. Let me show you what I got. And my parents got on my wish list and they set us up with this ladder right here. And this is something I've been seeing a lot of RVers use lately. Now this thing is quite a bit heavier than the previous ladder. This thing weighs about 33 pounds. It's a 12-foot ladder. Let me show you how this thing works. I'm not necessarily going to show you how to use this ladder yourself, because I've actually only done this a couple times so far. But you can see how easy that is for me to deploy. And I'm kind of fearing that I got a ladder that's a little bit too long, because you can see I've got 1, 2, 3 more sections down here I don't even really need. Okay, so if you all have ever seen that QVC video where they're selling the ladder and the guy goes up with the feather duster, check it out. Go on YouTube. Well, you're on YouTube right now, but just type in QVC ladder fall, and he's got a pink feather duster. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me right now. And I'm going to bring you guys up here in a second, and I'll show you why I need to come up here. This ladder feels great. It works really good. Okay, I don't want to do anything too stupid. I don't even have my good shoes on. These are just my work shoes. These things are so busted up, I don't even tie them anymore. These are just my camp shoes, just for running around camp. I should probably have on my good shoes. But I just wanted to do this real quick. Show you guys what we got going on up here. Hopefully give you all some ideas about your own rigs. Okay, so you can see down here, that ladder works really good. I really like that. And we are up here, really high up. It's crazy. Oh, you can see so many people camped out here now. It's amazing how much more you can see just getting 10 feet higher. And some people will put like a little patio up here. It's not a bad idea if you have a railing, some sort of a railing system up here. But for safety, the way I operate is I try to get up here as little as possible. I'm not afraid of heights, but if you're in an area like back here, like there's nobody out here. And if you're camped somewhere where there's not a lot of people around, then if you fall, that's a bad time. You get a good shot of Mr. Echo there, being a good dog. He's our little guard dog. He barks every once in a while, like if someone comes by camp or someone drives by, he'll kind of give a little huff. If he's really scared, he'll bark, but he's just kind of a little warning system for me and Dodger. You can see my solar panels here. This is something I rarely show on the channel because I rarely come up here. This is all I have. Each one of these is rated at 100 watts. Rarely do they bring in that much, even if under the best circumstances, they're probably bringing in maybe 60, 80 watts a piece, something like that. But this has been more than enough for me for the most part. During January and February, the sun gets really low in the sky. So I do have more problems having enough power just for that month or two. So I'll show you something I got in the truck that's going to really help out our solar situation here. And let me talk about how dirty these are. You can see they're dusty because, you know, they're up here, they're getting dust on them. But I have not cleaned these in years, I would say. And you can see they're, you know, they're basically pretty clean. They're obviously dusty, but what are you going to do? Wipe that off? And here's what I learned is I've had these dusty like this before, a couple years ago, and I came up here, wiped them down really good with a clean rag and some Simple Green, and they were spotless. And I checked the how much power they were bringing in. It didn't change at all. So from that point on, I decided I never need to clean these. Unless you get leaves on them or snow or something like that, you're going to want to wipe them off. But I never need to clean these, so I never touch these. And you can see there's like a little bit of where the water kind of pools up. Here you can see it's a little bit more dusty there. I did mount these so they're not in the dead center of the trailer because the roof has a little bit of a slope. So I think that helps bring the water off. So what I'm doing up here is just doing an inspection because I want to see if I need to redo any of this caulking. You're supposed to redo this caulking every few years or so just to prevent leaks. But it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't see any cracking. I just did this a year or so ago. The biggest issue I was having was a lot of cracking up here, so I redid all of this. And it looks pretty good, but you can see the roof material up here, and that's something we're going to get into as well. You can see how the paint's kind of coming off. Things like the vent need to be sealed, and that stuff looks actually really good. I probably don't need to redo that. All right, let's go back down and I'll show you what I'm going to add to these solar panels here. Now this is the scary part. Bringing this ladder down, it has these stickers all along here that give you a warning, and you'll see why. Because to bring this down is kind of a violent process. They do have some safety mechanisms built in. So you can see this doesn't slide all the way down until you slide this here. But it seems to not always work, so you can easily pinch your fingers in here. And as you get further and further down, these pieces up here get heavier and heavier, so you could slam your fingers bad. See, I think this one doesn't have that safety feature. Yeah, see, it just slammed right down. So if your fingers were in there, you'd be in pain. It has a nice handle there. It's kind of cool. I'm going to put a link to this ladder. Like I said, my parents got this for us, and so I'm still testing it out, but I dig it so far. So check the description down below. That helps us out. If you click that link down there, even if you don't buy the ladder, just checking it out, that really helps us out on the channel. Now, one thing I'm having to deal with is, where does the ladder go? The ladder no longer fits in this cubby hole. I could fit it in this cubby hole back here, but it's already pretty organized as far as like things that I need, and I think having that ladder back here, it would get in the way. In that case, I really think the best place for the ladder is in the bed of the truck, which you can see I got a lot of stuff in here. I need to do some cleaning out. That's going to be a whole other video. Most of this stuff I do use, except for these two damn bikes. Check out our Patreon page if you want to learn more about our bike fiasco. It's like $5 a month, and you can subscribe and unsubscribe whenever you want. I got a lot of videos up there, and little stories, little pictures, photos, behind the scenes stuff. That really helps support the channel a lot, the most. So all of you guys that are supporting us on Patreon, thanks a lot. Let's see what I got. here having to do with the solar panels. Picked up a big box the other day. Let me tell you, I did some shopping around. I looked at Solar Bill in town here in Quartzsite, and it's a cool place. I'm sure they do great work there. They were putting in panels for people on top of their rigs, on top of their vans, and I'm sure they do great work. It's probably no hassles. It seemed very expensive though. I just wanted to go in there just to buy a couple panels for my trailer, and I'd install them myself. But they were expensive. I mean, they were 150 bucks a piece, plus it didn't include any cables or brackets or anything like that. What I got here is a full kit. It's the same kit that I have on the trailer right now. It's just a few years newer, but it comes with all the same parts. And this kit is going to blow your mind. If you want to do a cheap solar install, I would recommend starting here. This is not the Renogy brand, but it's a step below that, I guess, but it seems to be the same quality. Probably the panels produce like a little bit. They're probably not within the same specs as like a more name brand company would have. But as far as everything else, quality and stuff like that, they're awesome. They give you brackets. That's the thing. At Solar Bills, they were going to sell me brackets for 40 bucks per panel in addition to the 150 per panel. Here I got brackets for 2 panels. I got a bunch of cables, battery cables, connectors, and even a charge controller, which I totally do not need this charge controller because I have one already. That's worth about 20, 25 bucks, something like that. I got this whole kit, all these cables, and these 2 panels right here. It was $140 shipped with tax. And these are exactly the same panels that I just showed you up on the trailer. So we'll get into this. At some point, we're going to do the install. If you're interested right now in that deal that I got, then check the description down below. I'll also pin it in the top comment. So you can find these panels on Amazon. Like I said, they were 140 bucks after tax, shipped for 2 panels and all of the gear you need to do the install. There's a full system right there. Oh, it's getting hot, you guys. I wanted to give a shout out. Man, I went to the dump to dump my tanks. I think it was yesterday, and maybe a couple days ago. And 3 people came by. They're like, "Hey, it's a Got Out channel," and that feels so good. I love meeting you guys in public. Like, I get surprised. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I forgot about that." And it's fun meeting people in real life. I ran into my nomadic dream. He's got a YouTube channel. He gave me this sticker. I saw him at the dump, so I wanted to give his channel a shout out and let you guys know if you ever see me or the dogs in public, you know, at the post office or in line at the grocery store, then please say hi. If you want to say hi, say hi. Because I like meeting you guys in real life. That's when I feel like I'm at my best. But I am shocked sometimes. I'm just like sitting there doing my thing, picking my nose, and then someone comes up to me and is like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, I don't know this person, but they apparently are a subscriber to the channel. And it's actually really cool. It gives me this sense of like, oh, if I ever need anything, if something ever happens, you know, as long as there's some subscribers around, I'm sure I could find someone that could help me out if I needed help. And that feels kind of like safe in this kind of interesting way. All right, let's go check out the dogs, and we're going to end this video. Thanks for hanging out with me, you guys, and doing some maintenance on our rig, on our life, our lifestyle. Man, this dog's been getting brushed so much with this brush. Check out the description. This brush is awesome. He loves it. This guy loves it. He loves it. And I was just remembering, we still got to do this door, fix this on here. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this in my own time, and then I'll show you guys the results in the next video. Man, is this even going to fit? All right, you guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for hitting that like button. Let us know you're watching. We like to know you're watching. Dogs and I are happy that you're hanging out with us lately here in Quartzsite. And And we're all gonna go on a hike here pretty soon, check out the desert. See you guys in the next video.